Hi, my name is Ian Troup. I'm a fly fishing guide, instructor, and competitive angler. I'm going to tie for you a pink bead pheasant tail. It's a fly that's worked really, really well for me and a variation of an old classic. All right, so another one of my staple flies, and this is a newer one for me, and it's a pink bead pheasant tail. So coming from my favorite pink bead hare's ear is a pink bead pheasant tail, and this is another one that's come out of the competition side of things. There's something about that pink bead, and again, I wouldn't think about this light, again, when I say pink bead, it's a light pink. Don't think of it as a flashy pattern. Think of it as something in the copper range, which tends to be less of a bright fly. Like a silver is brighter, gold is brighter. Copper pink is a lot more subtle, and it seems to work in a lot of the rivers, like the Grand, the Credit, those type of colored rivers all over the world. This pink bead tends to work, and when competition anglers are picking this one up, whether you like competition fishing or not, it's something to pay attention to. So again, you can see, if you haven't seen other videos, I'm inverting the bead. This is a slotted bead. Recommend slotted beads on all your flies. I am using a size 14 Hanak 230 BL. And again, I'm going to say it again. The reason we do that, it inverts the fly so you don't get as many snags, but it also gives you a healthy gap between the hook eye and the point, so you get better hookups. And with a pheasant tail, you can go as small as you want, but my usual arsenal is as small as an 18, but 14s and 16s being kind of your staples. You can go bigger as well. You can tie this fly whatever suits your needs. I like to think of pheasant tails as my mayfly pattern, so I don't get hung up on which mayfly, but if I think there's mayflies in the river, a pheasant tail is a good bet. And to quote a French angler said, you can make a lot of bad decisions when you tie a fly on your leader, but if you tie a pheasant tail, you've always made the right one. You know, he does quite well all over the world, so there's a confidence level in the pheasant tail. So our goal with the pheasant tail, this one, is to keep it thin. I'm going to take the thread right back to the bend of the hook. Again, we want to keep a little bit of a body on this one. I'm not looking to tie it short. And I keep this really, really simple. So you're going to notice a couple things a little quicker than normal, but what I really like about this style of tying a pheasant tail is its durability. So the one problem with the pheasant tail, it's not that durable. This pheasant tail is pretty durable within reason. So grab your favorite pheasant tail. This is maybe a dark brown or in the natural range. Grab about 3 or 4. So we're not, choose a little like 3 or 4. It's not, I'm not counting the tail. It's really about keeping the fly thin. So there's 4. They're pretty thin, and just pull them off. You can see I've just pulled them off. We're going to use the pheasant tail. Some people use coq de leon for the tail. You go ahead and do that. I like just a pheasant tail. It's faster and seems to work just as good, if not better. You can see I'm just matching the length is the body thereabouts. All you can do is catch it in, tie it in. So that looks a little bit long to me. All you do is draw it back a little bit. Okay, you're happy with it, lock it in. I like to put a couple just below the tail, it stands it up. All I'm doing is running that around. Tail's locked in position. So I'm going to take the pheasant tail now and watch my hand. I'm going to fold it back. And see, I've moved the thread about 3 or 4 thread wraps to the right or through the eye of the hook. Now you're going to fold it back. And be delicate here because it is breakable at this point. So I've kind of locked it in. If you've done it right, your pheasant tail's now kind of pushing to the tail of the hook or pushing out the back. Now, this part I would add, your favorite glue. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on the body. So you can see I put a pretty good glob of glue on there. What I'm next going to do is wrap this around. Now you could spin it if you want. 2 options. Don't have to go crazy, but you want it pretty wrapped around the thread. So what I've done is wrapped it around or spun it onto the thread. Now I have a rope and I'm holding the thread. I'm going to use my vise because it spins, otherwise you could wrap it around. But I'm just going to do touching turns up the body. And you can see it's locking in on that glue. It's got a thread base underneath it, and the really good part is when you get to the end here, if you don't glue it, it can really pull apart on you. If you let go, I'm not going to let go, but you could do that. And so there you have a really quick, thin pheasant tail body way stronger than even if you put the copper wire or some type of wire on it, and you have a really fishable pattern. So that's your simple base pheasant tail, and I would use this for all your bases of all your pheasant tails. The pink bead version tends to work really, really good with just a little bit of help. So what you'll see here is ice dub Peacock Black. So more of the greenish hue to it versus the coppery hue, but I'm probably getting a little dramatic on that, but that's the one I like. So a really, really small pinch of that dubbing. Don't go overboard here. Just a small pinch. We're putting a little bit of a hot spot on it. That little glint of peacock hurl, which is all we're really doing, makes a difference. And I like to run the thread through it once or twice to keep it really, really tight. So I'm not looking for a real flared out look, just a little sparkle behind that bead. Fly's done. So again, lock it in. I like to use a little bit of glue on there just to make the flies more durable, because this is a pretty durable pheasant tail, and then run it up the bead. Where normally I like a little bit of a black hot spot, you're not going to get much of one with this one. You've got your sparkle in there, and so just tie it off. A deadly, deadly pheasant tail works all over exceptionally well on Grand Credit if you're fishing locally, but I would tie that on anytime you think of a pheasant tail. There you have it, the pink bead pheasant tail.